Today's focus is on standing and leg strength and really building up a great foundation through your legs, your hips, and how they connect to your feet. So a stand, what I want you to watch here is we're going to be doing movements that have the leg coming up like this, that have the leg coming out wide, have us bending through the hip and the knee, and really pay attention to this pelvis to leg connection. It's so important when we're looking at improving our movement and gaining strength and better stability and function overall. And when we can pay attention to what's going on through here, how that connects through the knee and through the foot, if we use any extraneous work further up through the body, the better that we can be aware of those things, the better. Okay, so that is what we're going to focus on today. Here we go. So have a block handy. All right, so coming up into standing to begin. And just feel your feet on the floor. Feel the center of your heel, the ball of your foot, and the base of your pinky toe. And just notice what and how you are feeling. Notice how your day has been with you and you with your day. And let's start by raising our calves. So we're going to come up onto our toes, just like so. There you go. Now as you lift, try to not have your heels come wide. Have your heels so that they go straight up. There might be a little bit of wobbliness, like woo, but really try to make it straight up and down. Straight up and down. Straight up and down. Good. All right, now come here, back into standing. And bring one foot up into a small tree. Now remember, articulating joint, foot comes on. If you want to go higher, then articulating joint is the hip. The knee is doing some too, but the pelvis is not lifting to do that movement. The leg bone is moving in the pelvis to bring that foot up onto the leg. Right? Whoop. Feel the bottom of the foot touching the inner thigh of the standing leg. Feel the 3 points on the bottom of your foot, center of the heel, ball of the foot, base of your pinky toe. Feel up to your hip and down to your foot. All right, and then come on down. Other side. Foot comes up. Good. And then if you want to continue moving through the hip, placing the foot against the leg against the foot, feeling the bottom foot, center of the heel, ball of the foot, base of the pinky toe. Notice if you are holding in your ribs or in your jaw or in your upper back. Good, and then come on down. Take a moment and stand. Take your feet a little bit further apart, come into a chair, and then back up again. So when you're this way, you're hinging at the hip. So be careful. Lots of times people want to lower their body down. Try and keep the torso a little bit more upright and hinge through your hip, your knee, and your ankles. Hip, your knee, your ankles. So it's more that the thighs are coming up to your belly as opposed to your belly coming down to your thighs. Feel the center of the heel, ball of the foot and base of your pinky toe. And be aware of your breathing, and if it starts to get a little heavy, or if you're needing to just jump into ujjayi as a way of stabilizing. And can you just let your breathing be easy? Okay, now from here, ankle comes up onto the knee. So we're going to rotate that leg bone in the hip socket, raise the leg up into flexion, take the ankle onto that knee, and then start to lower through the hips. Think again, leg bones coming up toward your belly. Toes are relaxed. Okay, now from here, we're going to come up through the hips, lift that leg off, rotate it, and then place it onto the standing leg. And then we're going to step that leg back into high lunge. And then we're going to come up and bring that ankle back up onto the knee, thinking about the movement of the leg bone and the hip socket. I'm going to turn this way now. All right, so then from here, take it off, bring it back, high lunge. All right, so pay attention to the movement of the leg bone in the hip socket. You can go right from ankle to knee, right back into high lunge, or you can bring a mini tree in between. But the key is that this leg bone and hip socket is the primary articulating joint. Yes, the knee is bending, but I really want you to think about that leg swinging back, and then through the opposite leg, the one that's standing, how we're moving through the hip, the knee, and the ankle. And then come up, and then up, cross, and lower. Good. Okay, now come into standing and notice what you feel. Come back to chair. Hinging through the hips. I've had women who are a little older who have had swollen ankles for a long time of their life. Take the ankle up. And when they really move better through their hips, the swelling of their ankle goes away. Okay, and then move through the hip. Now bring that leg back, high lunge. Now you can always come through to a mini tree and then up. But remember here, I'm moving through the hip. The knee's coming along for the ride. It's also coming into flexion. That pelvis is staying as quiet as we can, even if there's wind about, right? All right, so then I'm going to swing this back, high lunge. And I'm going to swing right up into ankle onto the knee. But really think, even though I said ankle to knee, think about leg bone and hip socket. The ankle comes onto the knee because that leg bone is moving into the hip socket. If you're looking to really improve your movement. Okay, last one. And then up. And come into standing. Okay, now what are you noticing? Let's take your hands on the outside of the thighs and press the thighs slightly into your hands as you lower down. And then come up. Slight abduction through the legs. The movement is coming through here, through the hip, the knee, and the ankle, but I'm gently pressing out. Let your body respond to the pushing out. I'm purposely not saying what muscles are involved in the pushing out. I want you to feel what you feel when you push out into the legs or out into the hands. So when the legs push out into the hands, what do you feel? And if there's any increase of strain, then you're going too hard or it's not the right stimulus. So then what we can do is place the block between the legs. And you can place it here. You can also place it more narrow. So you choose your preferred way. Try not to squeeze the wood out of the block. Really think about hip and knees and ankles. Now you choose your preferred one, whether it's block or whether it's placing your hands onto the outer thighs. Which one gives you the most freedom? Which one gives you the most ease? Okay, great. And then let that go. All right, and now notice your hips. Let's come back to bringing the ankle onto the knee and coming back into high lunge. And let's notice if there's anything different. So from here, take the ankle up onto the knee and start to sit. Okay, and swing that leg back. There you go. Press that heel back. Come up, whoop, and move that leg on the hip and lower. Now what you can do, if you liked pressing your legs out into your hands, then press the standing leg out into your hand and swing that leg back. So it looks like this. You're here, the leg's pressing down into the hand, and you swing back. Notice what you feel when you do that. Now don't make it too harsh. Just have it be a tap tap to remind the leg that it's not falling inward. Yeah? And you might not step back quite as far. So you might only go this far. And that's okay. The key is now notice how you're moving pelvis and the leg. It's so easy to go for the full distance, but you can go in your small range, move the joint through the range that it actually has, and you can get a tremendous amount of work in through the tissue around that area. Yeah? And not go back far. Because remember, the control and coordination you have in a small range, if you don't have it in a small range, you're not going to have it in a big range. So why go through the big range if you don't have it in the small range, right? You're just bypassing all this tremendous opportunity for gaining that suppleness, that mobility, that functional synergy. And you're also really honoring your whispers. Whoa. You're honoring your whispers so you don't have to hear the screams. Good, and then come up. Now just notice what it is that you're feeling and how it all feels. Pelvis and leg. Good. And then come into standing. And now notice what you feel. And if there's anything starting to grow in and around your sacrum and your back, then it just lets you know that you've gone a little far, or your range was too big, or you pushed a little far, or you were gripping somewhere else in your body. Right? So just allow that to be in your awareness, okay? Let's take your legs wide. Legs turn out at the hip. That was the articulating joint. The feet came along for the ride. Now we lower down. Now I just want you to be here. I want you to feel your toes, and I want you to lift your toes a little, and then drop your toes. Lift your toes, and drop your toes. Lift your toes, and drop your toes. Feel the center of the heel, the ball of the foot, the base of the pinky toe. Let's press the legs back into your hands. Good. Maybe if you've got the availability, no increase of tension further up, think about moving through the hips and the knees a little more. But honor yourself. Don't just watch me. Honor yourself and the whispers. There's no point in my mind in terms of pushing yourself into some supposed mythical edge, which is one of the most ridiculous concepts ever created in yoga. I said that out loud, didn't I? Yeah. All right. You know my opinion about that one. So the idea is if you don't listen to the whispers, you're never going to actually get a consistent base of strength. You've got to listen, and your strength gains will become better and better and better. So we're in warrior 2 now. Okay, and then come back up. Rotate that leg bone. Rotate this leg bone. That's it. Lower down. Good. Good. You can always take the arms into it. I'm placing my hands on parts of my body so that if you're watching me, you've got a cue as to where I want your attention to be. Okay, so now we're going to rotate that leg bone back. Rotate this one out. Now this time, as we move, remember that pelvis is started off level. You're going to lower through the hips. So the pelvis is dropping, dropping, dropping. As opposed to the knee bringing us forward, I want you to think about lowering by way of the hip. Now the knee will bend, and I want you to pay attention to the back outside edge of your foot. Back outside edge of your foot. Keep that connected. So as soon as you feel like it's coming up, you've gone too far. Okay? Okay, good. All right, this way. Good. Now let's start to take yourself into an extended side angle. Now you might be in a place where you place your hand on a block, whether it's in the front or whether it's in the back. But whether you place your elbow on your leg or whether you place your hand on the block, I want you to think about butterfly pressure. This was one of the very, very first instructions I ever remember in my early days of yoga. I think it was my very first series of yoga classes in Vancouver. And she said, the way to build leg strength is to have your hands be like butterflies. Okay, and you know what? It's too bad I don't remember her name. I so see her in my mind, but she's right. Okay, so you can be here or you can be here. Good. Okay, coming on up and up. All right, now you might want to bring those legs together a little bit. Rotate. Now when you're moving your legs, there can be lots of discussion about what you do with the legs. So rotate, what I tend to do is this. Rotate that front leg. Your pelvis will often move with it. And then you can rotate the back leg if that's something you practice. There's going to be lots of debate about that. So just feel what's right for you and your body. But when we come into triangle, I really like this idea of thinking about your pubic bone and your nose like this. And they're moving at the same rate. So then we don't have to reach that rib cage forward, which further creates wackadoodle kind of strain in through your SI joints and through your lower lumbar spine. And then the other piece of this is I want you to think about your knee here. When your pelvis stops moving, which you can't always perceive, or when it's slowing down, when there's tissue starting to get resistant here, that knee is often going to hyperextend. So just notice if there's anything happening at that knee. Even if you can't perceive your pelvis has stopped moving, your knee or what you feel around your knee might highlight that for you. Yeah? Good. And then you can easily bring the arms up. So then you don't have to twist, right? Which I've really actually never quite understood when people teach triangle. I mean, I understand why. The reason that people say to twist, the way I see why people do that is because lots of people come into twists like this and they say, okay, we better get that chest open. But if you see that, the reason why they're doing it is because they're breaking through here. But if you keep the movement through your hips like so, then where you started with your torso is where you end with your torso. So then there's no rotation needed, which can create all sorts of other wackadoodle stuff through your SI and your lower back. And you actually lose out on improving your hip mobility and your strength. Good. Okay, we're going to do one more range of those. Okay, rotate. Hold on one sec. My pelvis started to do something funny there. Rotate Now move. Now if you're here and you're in a good and happy place here, now I want you just to rotate that arm bone and bring it in behind your body. And so you can see how mine comes around to my leg. Yours might just come right through here. Wherever you've got the range, you choose. You feel in your own body what makes the most sense. Good, and then come on up. So you can see with some really simple stuff, as we're building our function here, that you move a little bit more towards some of these more complex things like binds. So then binds all of a sudden don't become this mythical thing you can't attain. It's more, they're about how functional your body is. Yeah? If you've got any desire to do them, you just need to keep improving the suppleness and the mobility and the overall function, the responsiveness of your body. And if you have pain as you do those things, that pain will reduce more and more and more and more consistently and be more sustainable. And you'll continue to move better and do more complicated or complex things should you want to. Good. And then let's come back into standing. All right, lovely. Okay, let's come back into doing our calf raises. So we're going to raise and lower, raise and lower, raise and lower, raise and lower. Okay, now let's come into our chair. And where are we at here with chair? And then come on up. And where are we at with our chair? And then come on up. Thinking about moving through the hips. And then come on up. All right, now let's come back over to here. Ankle to knee. Yeah? So that was all through the hip. Now keep that hip level. We're going to bend the standing leg. We're moving towards eagle. Bend the standing leg. Rotate that top leg. Bend and move through that standing leg. But keep your pelvis. Keep your hands here. Really pay attention to what's going on in your pelvis. This position will completely blow your mind as you get more and more awareness of what your pelvis is doing in it. And then we're going to take the arms into position. So whatever leg is on top, the same arm is below. Relax your toes. And then come on up. And then out you come. Good. Feel where that pelvis is. Feel where your legs are, yeah? And then bring that leg up. Ankle comes onto the knee. Let that leg move. Okay, and now start to hinge. And hinge. Good. And then bend that standing leg. Keep your pelvis level. Notice when you want to do that. Come back up if that's the case. It's often an awareness and a coordination thing. It's not so much of a weak or a mobility thing. It's oftentimes you're just not aware of what it is you're doing. And when I can help bring your awareness to it, you've then got it. Yeah? Relax your toes. Good. And then up. Come into standing. Good. And now feel your legs. And now come back into chair. And then up. Chair. Feel the bottoms of your feet. Center of the heel, ball of the foot, base of your pinky toe. Center of the heel, ball of your foot, base of your pinky toe. Okay, now in standing, notice what you're now feeling. Take those shoulders up to your ears. Allow those blades to come back into retraction and then down. Inhaling on the way up, exhaling on the way back and down. Inhaling on the way up, exhaling on the way back and down. Inhaling on the way up, exhaling on the way back and down, up and back and down, up and back and down. 2 more. Okay, lovely. Now that you're here, notice what it is that you're feeling. Feel your breath. Feel the bottoms of your feet and the center of your heel. Feel your legs and your pelvis and your body weight coming through your pelvis, your legs, and down into your feet. Can you experience your sense of shavasana, your sense of relaxation, now in vertical? Without lifting through the spine, can you just be lifted? Can you just be vertical? Feeling the breath in your torso, in your shoulder girdle, your neck and your face. The center of your eyes. So that here as you're standing, you can feel between your eyebrows, your throat, your heart, below your breastbone, just below your navel, and into your feet. Can you be with this in standing? So that as you go about your days, you can be in relaxation while in vertical. See, the thing that happens as we function better is that a well-functioning body surrenders upward. There's less bracing. There's less grip. There's easier breath. So now, from here, where are you going to go from here? You might want to go for a run. You might want to do more yoga or a pranayama practice. You might be starting your day like me and getting ready for breakfast. But notice what this feeling is inside of you. Maybe this can be a new normal. There you go. And if you're wanting any more support for yourself and more personalized work, send me a direct message about private sessions. I'd love to help you get stronger, to be able to surrender upward, to be more supple. All right, have a great day. We will see you tomorrow morning.